Good morning, my dear students. This is Dr. Sakshi Jain, Assistant Professor in English of SD Mahila Mahavidyalaya Hasi. Welcomes you all in e-content for undergraduate classes under the aegis of Department of Higher Education, Haryana. Today I am going to teach you the most important topic of English grammar, that is narration or reported speech. Reported speech, an art of reporting the words of the speaker. There are two ways of reporting the words spoken by a person: direct speech and indirect speech. We may quote the actual words of the speaker. This is called direct speech. The words of the speaker are enclosed within inverted commas. For example, Ram said, "I'm going to Delhi." "I'm going to Delhi" are the words of the speaker, Ram. That's why we have enclosed them within the inverted commas. We may convey the meaning or sense of the speaker without using his actual words. This is called indirect speech or reported speech. For example, Ram said that he was going to Delhi. There are two parts of the direct speech. Mohan said to Sohan, "I help you." Mohan said to Sohan is reporting speech. "I help you" is reported speech. Mohan is the reporter, or you can say subject of the reporting verb said to. Said to is the reporting verb. Sohan, object of the reporting verb. "I help you" is the reported speech. General rules for changing direct speech into indirect speech. Now we will do all the general rules one by one. Number 1, change in pronouns. Number 2, change in tenses. Number 3, change in nearness. First, change in pronouns. Rule 1. Pronouns of first person are changed according to the subject of the reporting verb. I have already told you what is reporting verb, what is the subject of the reporting verb, and object of the reporting verb. I hope you will all be able to understand it very well. Example, direct speech. Suman said to me, "I'm going to Delhi." Suman, subject of the reporting verb said to. Me, object of the reporting verb said to. Pronouns of the first person. I will change according to the Suman. Indirect speech. Suman told me that she was going to Delhi. Rule 2. Pronouns of second person are changed according to the object of the reporting verb. Example, direct speech. Meena said to me, "You should do your work." Second person will change according to the object of the reporting verb. Object is me. In the indirect speech, Meena told me that I should do my work. Rule number 3. Pronouns of third person of the direct speech are not changed at all. For example, direct speech. I said to him, "He killed a snake." He is the pronoun of third person. In indirect speech, I told him that he had killed a snake. He जो है यहाँ change नहीं हुआ है. I have written as it is because rule 3, pronouns of the third person of the direct speech are not changed at all. I have written in brief here. First person, I, we, will change according to the subject of the reporting verb. Second person, you will change according to the object of the reporting verb. Pronouns of third person of the direct speech are not changed at all. Change in tenses. Rule 1. If the reporting verb is in the present tense or future tense, then the tense of the direct speech does not change. For example, firstly, I have written the example of present tense. Direct speech. He says. Here, says is in present tense. If the reporting verb is in the present tense, there will be no change in the tense of the direct speech. He says Mohit reads a book. In direct speech, he says that Mohit reads a book. We have not changed the tense in the indirect speech because reporting verb is in the present tense. Next example is on future tense. Here the reporting verb is in the future tense. Direct speech, Sita will say, Ram is always right. In the indirect speech, Sita will say that Ram is always right. In the change in tenses, we have rule number 1. If the reporting verb is in the present tense or in the future tense, then the tense of the direct speech does not change. Rule number 2. When the reporting verb is in the past tense, tense of the direct speech changes as follows. Suppose we have direct speech in present indefinite tense. Present indefinite tense changes into past indefinite tense in indirect speech. Suppose V1 plus S or ES, do, does, V1 has been given in the direct speech, then in the indirect speech, V2, did plus V1. For example, direct speech, he said, I work very hard. Here, reporting verb is in the past tense. He said that, inverted commas converted into conjunction that. He said that he worked very hard. Present continuous tense in the direct speech will change into past continuous tense in indirect speech. Ismr plus V1 plus ing will change into was were plus V1 plus ing. Next, present perfect tense in direct speech will change into past perfect tense in indirect speech. Has, have plus V3 will change into had plus V3. Present perfect continuous in direct speech will change into past perfect continuous tense. Has, have plus been V1 plus ing will change into had been plus V1 plus ing. Past indefinite tense V2 or did will change into past perfect tense had plus V3. Past continuous tense was were V1 plus ing will change into past perfect continuous tense in indirect speech had been plus V1 plus ing. Will, shall will change into would, should, can into could, and may into might. These are the changes in tenses when we convert direct speech into indirect speech. Note: the present simple, when stating a universal truth, habitual fact, scientific fact, or proverbs, idioms does not change. Means to say, present indefinite tense does not change when stating a universal truth, habitual fact, etc. Take an example. Direct speech. Sunil said, the earth is round. In the indirect speech, Sunil said that the earth is round. Have you observed? There is no change in the universal truth. Sunil said that, inverted commas converted into conjunction that, as it is we have written in the indirect speech, the earth is round. Next, in the imaginary conditions, if were clauses do not change. Take an example. Direct speech. She said to me, if I were a bird, I would fly to you. Indirect speech. Said to changes into told. She told me that if. We will change here only the pronouns. There will be no change in the tense. If she were a bird, she would fly to me. Next rule, change of must. When must indicates future necessity or compulsion, it changes into conditional. How? Take an example. In the direct speech, he said, I must leave tomorrow. Future necessity है, compulsion है, I must leave tomorrow. In the indirect speech, he said that must changes into conditional, would have. He said that he would have to leave the next day. For immediate necessity, must is changed into had. For example, direct speech. She said, I must go home now. In the indirect speech, she said that she had to. Must is changed into had to. She had to go home. Now convert करेंगे then में. She said that she had to go home then. This rule I will tell you later on. Change in nearness. How we have to change. Now of the direct speech into then in indirect speech. Rule number 3. When must indicates permanent rule, prohibition, etc., it does not change. There will be no change in must. Take an example. Direct speech. The principal said, the students must not smoke in the class. In the indirect speech, the principal said that there will be no change in the must. The students must not smoke in the class. It will remain as it is. The principal said that the students must not smoke in the class. Change in nearness. I have written some words here in direct speech. We will change them into indirect speech. For example, this changes into that, these into those, here into there, hence and hereby into thence and the thereby, now into then, today into that day, tomorrow into the next day or the following day, yesterday into the previous day, the day before, tonight into that night, ago, before, thus into so. It's just a learning point. You have to learn it. Now, one by one we will do how to change, how to convert direct speech into indirect speech in different sentences. Firstly, I have taken the rules of assertive sentences, or you can say affirmative sentences. Rule number 1. Inverted commas are replaced by the conjunction that. In the direct speech, inverted commas are replaced by the conjunction that. Rule number 2. If there is no object after the reporting verb, then there will be no change in it. If there is no object after the reporting verb, then we will write it as it is. Rule number 3. If there is an object after the reporting verb, then say will change into tell and said will change into told. Take an example. Direct speech. He said to me. Me is the direct object. If there is an object after the reporting verb, then said to will change into told. He said to me. Inverted commas are replaced by conjunction that. And I have already told you all the rules of changing pronouns, tenses and nearness. He said to me, I am reading a book. He told me that he was reading a book. Another example, direct speech. He said, I am reading a book. There is a no object after the reporting verb said. Then there will be no change in it. He said that he was reading a book. Next, interrogative sentences. Rules of converting direct speech into indirect speech in interrogative sentences. Rule 1. The reporting verb said or said to is changed into asked. Rule 2. If the question begins with a helping verb, is, am, are, was, were, has, have, had, do, does, did, will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, must, etc., then inverted commas are replaced by if or whether. Rule 3. If the question begins with a question word, who, when, where, which, what, whose, why, how, etc., then no conjunction is used between the reporting verb and the reported speech. I have already told you what is reporting verb and what is reported speech. Then there will be no conjunction between the reporting verb and reported speech. Let's take some examples. With the help of examples, you all will be able to understand well. Direct speech. He said to me, where are you going? In this, our question begins with the question word where. He said to me, where are you going? Said to reporting verb is changed into asked. He asked me where I was going. Direct speech. Another example. He said to me, do you know Sarika? Here the question begins with a helping verb do. Again, in the indirect speech, reporting verb said to is changed into asked. He asked me, and inverted commas are replaced by if or whether. He asked me if I knew Sarika. Here is a practice set for you all based on assertive sentences and interrogative sentences. Change the following sentences into indirect speech. The very easy sentences I have given. Number 1. He said, she is an intelligent girl. 2. He said, I worked till midnight. Next, the teacher asked the pupil, have you done your work? Next, she said to me, who are you? Next, she said, I was singing a song. Next, he said, I can do it. Number 7. Mohan said, I met Radha yesterday. I have told you yesterday in the direct speech. You have to change it into the indirect speech. They said, we are playing a game. He said, Kiran, I am pleased with you. Last, he said, why are you angry? Dear students, do the practice of this set so that you will be understand the topic very well. Next, imperative sentences. Rule 1. In indirect speech, the reporting verb is changed into ask, tell, order, command, beg, urge, remind, want, etc. according to the sense of the sentence. Rule 2. After the reporting verb, to plus infinitive is used. Rule 3. Negative commands request are expressed by not plus to infinitive, or you can use the word forbid plus to infinitive. Let's take some examples so that you will be able to understand the rules very well, how we have to apply them while converting direct speech into indirect speech. Direct. He said, open the door. In the indirect, you can use order, requested, told, asked according to the sense of the sentence. He ordered me to open the door, or you can say he requested me to open the door. He told me to open the door, or he asked me to open the door. Next example. Direct speech. The captain said to the soldiers, fire at enemy. Indirect speech. The captain ordered the soldiers to fire at enemy. We have used to infinitive after the reporting verb. The captain ordered the soldiers to fire at the enemy. Next is exclamatory sentences. Rule 1. How to change direct speech into indirect speech in exclamatory sentences. The reporting verb is changed into exclaim as the case may be. Some examples are. I have given some interjection and suitable words showing the sense. If alas has been given in the direct speech, then what its meaning is? Sorrow, hurrah, joy, bravo, applauded, or you can say encouraged, hello, greet, puhu puhu, contempt. Rule 2. Exclamations with what and how are changed into remarked or exclaimed. Let's take some example. Direct speech. He said, alas, I have injured my foot. In the indirect sense, we will change alas into exclaimed with sorrow. He exclaimed with sorrow that he had injured his foot. Direct speech. The boys said, hurrah, We have won the match. In the indirect speech, the boys exclaimed with joy that they had won the match. Hurrah changes into exclaimed with joy. Inverted commas replaced by conjunction that. And all the general rules I have already told you how you have to change pronoun, tense and the nearness. Some words have been given. We have to change into the indirect speech. Practice set. Dear students, this practice set is based on imperative sentences and exclamatory sentences. Number 1. Be careful. The steps are slippery. My friend said. Number 2. The teacher said to her, "What an intelligent girl you are." Number 3. He said, "Alas, the poor woman is dead." Number 4. He said, "Hurrah, I have solved this complex sum." Number 5. "May God bless you," said the old man to the boy. Next, he said, "Farewell, my friends." Number 7. The principal said to the peon, "Bring me a glass of water." Number 8. Suresh said, "Let's go out for picnic." Mohit said, "How lovely the weather is." The last is, "Follow that car," the policeman said to the taxi driver. I hope you all are able to understand the topic very well. Try to solve both the practice set in your rough notebook. Listen the video again and again so that you will be able to learn all the rules very well. How you have to change the pronoun, how you have to change the tense, if any word like this that has been given in the direct speech, how you have to change it into the indirect speech. I have also told you how you have to change the sentences in assertive, interrogative, imperative and exclamatory sentences. Thank you.